Killed this shit again, bro.
So softly lighting up the night.
Floating, wavy like the ocean. My physical emotions show my spirit as an omen. I'm in motion like the seven seas. Connect with men and them who think like Elohim. My flow warm like a sunbeam. My third eye shine red like the waters in your bloodstream. Young king, my tongue shine without a tongue ring. My talking bling bling like it's nothing. Glowing like slick brick chains at its apex. You basic if you want love without the hatred. It's dangerous, having faith amongst the faithless. To stay in tune with the ancient and amens. Prayers to the dead and those that deserve killing. Your life is a gift, your presence is Thanksgiving. And to the wise every day is a holiday. And to my enemies, every day's a borrowed one. Black Storm. Peace, power, and prosperity. Rob Black Storm coming through on the late night. Just got out of a meditation. So I'm feeling very lightheaded. Hopefully, the music isn't bothering you. If you do come in, do let me know where you from, how you doing. It's Friday. It's Friday. For some people, it is payday. Right? For some people, they're going to be making some love. For some people, they're going to be watching TV, playing PlayStation, right? Going to sleep, doing nothing, working, Different strokes for different folks. But shout out to everyone. If you're watching this on a replay, shout out to you too whenever you are watching this. I want to talk about some signs and symbols and some recent phenomenon that has been happening. And kind of touch on this full moon weekend and how this is really going to be a weekend that will impact your personal spiritual development, and it'll impact and help develop your magic and your personal magic, meaning magic that emanates naturally from your electromagnetic field, right? Magic that you could do without thinking, right? Magic that comes to you as downloads come to you, as ideas, as sparks of insights, as aha moments, so to speak, come to you, right? And also be able to use that wisdom to improve your life, improve the life of your family, your friends, your loved ones, etc. Too long-winded. Let me pull this up and we'll get into it. All right, I see someone's here with me on the late night, so that's what's up. I figure people's gonna pop up, but I want to get this out because I didn't get it out on. I didn't get it out on what you call it. So 1 second. I wanted to get this out on. What you call it, on Thursday night, but I ended up falling asleep and I thought I was gonna be able to wake up. Peace. What's up, Ultra Instinct? Yeah, Scorpio style. Dealing in the darkness, dealing with the late night. And yeah, I was in meditation and I came out of meditation and Spirit was like, yo, drop this lecture. I had it in the stash. Like I said, I was going to drop it on full moon day, Thursday, Jupiter day. But I ended up falling asleep and staying asleep. So Spirit was like, all right, do it tonight. And I was going to abandon it, but Spirit was like, nah, you got to get this info out. So yeah, this is what we're doing. So I appreciate you hanging in with me, even if it's just me and you, man. We're going to rock. But hopefully some people come in. I think a lot more people going to come in for the replay. But let's get into it. We're going to act like it's 1,000 people in this, the visualization, right? To make it come into fruition, but 1,000 people who are looking to, grow and develop and transform into their highest self. So that's the people that I want here. People who really want to do the work, who are really about growing spiritually, who really want to become magic themselves, and kind of go into looking at the signs and symbols of things and seeing how they can utilize this for your benefit and what it means and what time it is on the season. So anyway, let's talk about this. Shout out to anybody else who's here. I see people coming in the building. You could definitely drop a comment. Let me know you are here, or just drop a 7 or a love or something. Let me know you're here. But anyway, so the solar maximum, right, is officially here. And the scientists or the NASA has determined this based on what's been recently happening. And if you look at this moon, right, this moon is the biggest supermoon that we've had all year. So this is the biggest supermoon that we've had. And the last 3 moons that we've had have all been supermoons. Like they've all been big, but this is the biggest one we've had all year. And not only that, we have this solar maximum that's official. So what is maximum? Well, basically, it's when the sun is the most active, right? When it's producing the most plasma, the most heat, the most solar flares, the most coronal mass injections, right? And even today, like there's an app you could get called Space Weather Live. And Space Weather Live app, it'll notify you on when the solar flares are, if they're strong, if they're moderate, and if they're weak, or what type of energy they're putting out. And basically solar cycle 25, the sun goes through an 11-year cycle where it's magnetic pole swap. So it basically goes from north to south, right? And I think this time it's going from south to north, right? So it going through a magnetic pole shift. The earth goes through that as well, right? We won't get into that. But it's going through a magnetic pole shift. So when it goes through a magnetic pole shift, right, what it does is, as it says here, it causes it to transition from being a quiet, calm star to unleashing fiery streams of charged particles into surrounding space. Well, as we are God body, shout out to Denise Higgins coming in the building. All right, if you're coming, I'm gonna shout you out when I see it. And what these charged particles are going to be doing, um, while basically, right, we are one with the universe. We are sitting on a round ball, rolling like a marble through outer space, right? Rolling on nothingness, dark matter, right? And if you astral travel, and if you are a person who has lucid dreams and deep meditation, and if you've taken any type of psychedelic trips, mushroom trips, right, you could verify this for yourself, right? And you could see this yourself. There's nothing mysterious. I recommend if you're going to do any type of psychedelics, right, if that's your bag, you should do it one in the presence of people that you trust and love and that you could have fun with. And two, if you're going to do it alone, right, do it in meditation. Do it in meditation. And really the best thing is to do it and meditate. And and tell mother mushroom what you want and she'll take you where you want to go. But anyway, this is the natural mushrooms that we're talking about that are coming from space, from the solar maximum. And these fiery charged particles that are shooting out, right, of the sun, even today we had 3 solar flares, are bringing us extra energy, extra chi, extra power. uh, Kundalini energy, if you will, right? And we have the ability through our skin, right? Especially those of us that are melanated, right? Have the ability to absorb light and convert it to energy. Again, I always say the easiest way to understand a so-called black person's skin is to understand Black Panther suit. It works the same way, converts light to energy through a quick switch function. And this converting of light into energy is what gives you the power to make portals, the power to astral travel, the power to make manifest the things that you want, the power to develop psychic abilities, the power to make things move without your hands, right? And you become a magic wand in itself. All right. So that's the importance of this solar maximum. And also, with the energy of what we're going into, which is the supermoon in Aries, which we just had on Thursday, which we are still under the energy of, right? Right now, as I'm doing this, it's Saturday morning, right? But, it's still Friday night. So that energy is still alive, even if you're going off planetary hours and you're doing, magic or any type of ritual during planetary hours, which are special hours that correspond to the energy because each planet has its own personality. That's why you could attach zodiac signs to it. Zodiac, emotions, being animated is showing emotions, energy, emotion. So an animal, all animals represent. Oh, why is it taking forever? All animals represent different aspects of the zodiac. 1 second, y'all. Okay, here we go. But also different aspects, not only of the zodiac. I'm sorry, all animals don't represent different aspects of the zodiac. They represent different emotions in humanity, different archetypes, which are archetypes are basically emotions, character traits, right? That represent humanity. So that's why you see animals on top of human bodies when you look at deities, Middle Eastern deities, not Middle Eastern, but Eastern deities, especially, right? Even if you look at the Hindu culture, the Buddhist culture, and then you go to uh, things like Lakshmi, you know, um, the monkey god Hanuman, and things like that, right? You see these animals heads with human bodies because the animals represent the archetype that represents emotion. So we are in. So let me make sure y'all can see what I see. Okay. So we have this particular. Did I share? No. Okay. So we have this particular Hunter's Moon that we just had yesterday. So basically, it says you need to realize that you're not your thoughts or emotions. Stay in your center by knowing your pure essence exists beyond what you may be going through. If you're experiencing confusion or stress, it's time to come back home to yourself, right? So basically, what it's saying is now is the time to realize that you are not your thoughts or emotions, right? You are source energy. You are beyond the physical body. You are one with God, and God is one with you. You are made up of stardust. You're made up of every element in the universe. You are beyond this avatar body. Your soul is way beyond this avatar body. Your spirit is way beyond this physical body, this physical vessel. You are a vessel of the divine, but the divine is higher than this physical vessel or anything on this earthly plane could ever be, and has more the same power that is running your heart right now, that wakes you up in the morning, that makes you pee and poop and flushes out the waste, right? In your body. These things, your breathing that's regulated right now, right? Without you consciously thinking about it. These parasympathetic and fight or flight or sympathetic nervous system actions, right? All these autonomic functions are part of your pure essence beyond. So you stay in your center by knowing your pure essence exists beyond what you may be going through. If you're experiencing confusion, confusing. The cold fusion. If you're experiencing confusion or stress, it's time to come back home to yourself, right? So if you're going through something right now, now is the time that you want to look back, right? And come back to who you truly are and tap into your essence and tap into your spirit. And we'll get into that. So you lean more into surrendering and having compassion for yourself as well as others, right? Things happen. Look, we all go through ups and downs. Don't beat yourself up, right? And, always remember that someone's going through the same thing you are or has gone through the same thing you have and has made it and has triumphed and has overcome, you know? And leaning into source energy again is leaning into the all I. So you're leaning into everything and every archetype by tapping into source, which we'll get into. So it says what's standing in the way of your complete trust in the universe is your older self. So shadow work is an order. We'll get into that. You're going through a rebirth, whether you realize it or not. So, as I said, if you look at my previous video where I was talking about the hippocampus and how the hippocampus is responsible for the visualization and the energy or the emotion behind all your memories. So that means your traumatic memories. That means the memories you had, in childhood that you don't remember. It holds all the energy of those memories in your brain. And what happens is over time, the hippocampus also uh, it begins to shrink the more stress you have. It begins to shrink and get smaller, right? Which gives you less capacity for memory, you know. Hence, over time, this is where things like Alzheimer's or, not reading and not studying and not learning and not growing come in, because you're not using your brain. So your brain starts to lose the way it functions. So anyway, so it says you're going through a rebirth, right? So new memories, right? The rebirth is nothing, being born again is nothing but you creating new memories. If you was resurrected like Christ, buried, put on a stake like Christ, and they buried you, or they buried you alive. I said they buried you alive, right? And you were able to resurrect and come back. Hallelujah. Glory, right? You come through the tomb like Christ walking. You got the white robe on and you came back, right? You're going to create new memories. You're going to create a new imprints on your subconscious. You're going to do new things. So being born again, right, is you creating new memories, you going down a new path and you doing things that are unfamiliar to you. So it says, so this will change how you, so being new, right? So what's standing in the way of your complete trust in the universe is your older self. You're going through a rebirth, or whether you realize it or not. This will change how you show up and the role you play in every aspect of your life. Your higher heart, authentic self will always guide you to the aligned reality. And it says, type I surrender and allow change to affirm. So you can type that in the chat if you would like, right? Just to put that affirmation out there. But this is about transformation. And we are all being forced in some way, shape, form, or fashion to change. And that's, as a spiritual being, right? We always are being forced to change. That's why there's different moons and different cycles for different things. Sometimes you're working on love, sometimes you're working on finance, sometimes you're working on anger, sometimes you're working on, relationships, sometimes you're working on spirituality, sometimes it's a time for shadow work, so there's sometimes the time to prepare for the new year, right? So there's different cycles, different zodiacs, different planets, different times of the year with equinoxes and solstices, where you have different ways of accentuating different aspects of your psyche and accessing unlocked dormant parts of your DNA. That's why we do this stuff. It's not just to be cool and, say we're smarter than someone else and, wear nice crystals and, fancy clothing and African dashiki prints and stuff like that, you know, and impress other people with, our breadth of our breadth of knowledge and wisdom with no understanding. No, it's about you tapping into your higher heart, authentic self, right? And tapping into that heart chakra and connecting with the all, which is you, which is the all, which is why you are everything and everywhere all at once. All right. And the power is here for you to tap into, right? The power is here for you to tap into. So there is a comment that is coming through, right? Called Tushinshan Atlas. Tushinshan Atlas, right? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But Tushinshan comment, I think it's a couple hundred years ago, right? And it says it's made of ice, gases, and frozen rocks, and is moving at approximately 180,000 miles per hour. And I thought that number was significant because, numerology is also a spiritual science. This is why it's important to understand your own numerology, your date of birth, year, full thing, things like that, so definitely if you are serious about this work, you want to have a book of numerology on hand and, have a basic grasp of numbers and what numbers mean. Just start with the 1 to 10 to assign meaning to them and study it so that you have it. That's one of the things you want to know, like ABCs. You want to, because you'll see numbers, you start to see correspondences in numbers, and numbers will start to link pieces of puzzles together. And this is what separates you from the average human, who's dumb, deaf, and blind, doesn't know what's going on. So anyway, 108,000 miles per hour, right? So that number adds up to obviously nine. Now, nine is one of those numbers that, there's 9 months from before a baby, has 9 lives, and nine is one of those numbers that continues to rebirth itself, right? So, just going through the 9 times tables, so 5, right? 9 times 2 is 18. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 7 plus 2 is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. 6 and 3 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. 4 and 5 is 9. And you keep going and going and going, and you're going to keep adding up to a 9, till you get to 10 is 90. So 9 is all about birth and rebirth and change. So see it real quick. And glass moving through the sky, right? Let me see if I could turn it off. Well, maybe I'll just hide it like that. But anyway, it says the comment. So this name Tishun Shunshan is the name of the actual observatory in China, but it's also means purple mountain if you translate it. So purple mountain, right? The color purple is the color of royalty, but it's also the color of the crown chakra. And the crown chakra is, again, what connects you to your higher self or your higher insight. This is when, again, you get what we call now downloads, right? Where you get sparks of intuition, is what they would call it back in the days, right? You get these different thoughts, these different ideas, right? And now that your spirit is actually changing and
Skating for over 45 years
see,
has taken a toll on my body.
we don't want to do this.
I take Cunol turmeric because it helps with.
Shut up. So this is why. So actually, we don't even need that anymore. I don't think, because now, yeah, it's taking me someplace. So this particular comet, right? That is called Purple Mountain, is over the planet. 42 million miles, but it's still in our solar system. So that's still energy that we could pull from, and it's natural energy. It's like it's a natural resource. It's no different than water or oil or something like that. It's a natural resource. So you could tap into that energy and use it, right, for your benefit as far as connecting to that crown energy. And that crown energy is some of the most, that's like when you fully know and understand your oneness with the universe. I'm trying to pull up my crown chakra chart. You get it on Amazon. Can y'all see this? Chakra chart. Let me do this. Nah, y'all can't see it because the Bluetooth. But type in what's the name of this joint? If you want to get it on Amazon, Rainbow Chakra Centers, and it has all the different chakras. But the crown chakra, compassion, oneness, seeing self and others, allowing. Let me put this back up. Seeing self and others, um, allowing this harmonious, peaceful, non-attached, loving, non-reactive, right? And the big keyword that just came up to me, spirit's like non-attached. So this name meaning purple mountain, and it dealing with the crown chakra, it deals with non-attachment. And non-attachment means that you're going to be spurred on to shed some of your old person, some of your old self, and even some of the old self from this year, not just all the way, in the distant past. Even some of the things that you went through this year is going to be part of the old self. So you want to tap into that. You want to, and basically, one of the ways you're going to do this is very simple. You're going to make time. Actually, we'll get into that later. I got a lot more to cover. So I just want to share this with you to let you know what's going on out here in these spiritual streets. And this is cosmology, studying the whole universe, here and as above, so below. So, you want to see what's going on above as well. And with the super moon, us being in the solar maximum, all these solar flares, even tomorrow, like it's going to be 71 in New York City tomorrow. That's unprecedented. But that's because of all this energy that's hitting the planet, this comet, this super moon, these solar flares, this solar maximum, right? Last week, like the 10th and 11th, we had auroras, like I was saying in my other video, the auroras represent the chakras, right? So they represent the chakra colors. And it's a very powerful thing if you're able to be there. That's why you don't hear about wars in these countries, Iceland and all that. You don't hear about nothing happening to them, right? Because they got that spiritual protection, right? They got that that's a geomagnetic force that's literally hitting the earth, right? And again, this is ideas, these are powers, right? This is extrasensory perception. These are seeing things in your dreams, right? This is all that, right? But you could get all this energy, but if you don't know how to use it, right? And if you don't study, if you don't look into it, then you'll just think you're crazy, or you'll just think you're odd, or you'll just live with it and not even know what's going on, right? So it's important to know these things. So let's get into um what's going on. So, yes, the many faces of the spiritual journey, right? And I like this because this is a sense of what you go through during a rebirth. The guy, look at the little guy, all the way to the right, on my right. He is, that's why you first start, yeah, you're angry and you're upset, and you're mad at the world. You start learning that you've been lied to. We basically take your red pill, right? Not the one from the manosphere, fresh and fit, but you take your red pill for the matrix and you start to see the real world for what it is, and it's tough at first, and you want to battle everybody. And then the second phase with this is you go through, kind of like, am I going to do this? Am I going to stay here? And you start to like, be silly with it, and then there's a time when you get really, really serious. You're like, okay, I got to make this my lifestyle. This has got to be my way of living, this is my path. This is who I am. This is what I represent. So there's many, and there's even during the journey, this always goes up and down. There's nobody that does spirituality sincerely and it's never wanted to get off the path. In fact, if you look at any movie for any hero on the hero's journey, the hero is usually reluctant. Frodo didn't want to go get the ring in the Lord of the Rings, right? He didn't want to go. The hero's usually, somebody who doesn't want to take on that role, kind of like Aquaman, like the story of Aquaman, right? He didn't want to do it because it's a lot of responsibility, to like people think coming on this side is like you're going to be like the guy in the middle. Like you're going to study occultism and esoteric spirituality and metaphysics, and you're going to stay like the guy in the middle all day, and nothing's going to happen to you. I mean, you're not going to go through any hardships, any challenges. You're going to have all the money in the world. You're going to have the boo you love. And life is going to be like a box of chocolates. No, nigga. No. So this is what rebirth looks like, So that's why this Aries energy that we had was also so important. And what we're doing is, this happened, and I said this in my last video, this happened on the 17th, which comes out to a number 8. We are in 2024, 2 plus 2 plus 4 equals 8, right? And 8, and this is what came to me actually recently. One of the ideas that I gained from this is that Spirit told me that there's, the Kabbalion, the 7, what they call the 7 Hermetic laws, which are really the 7 Kemetic laws, the 7 laws of Tahuti or thought, right? Who they falsely call Hermes Trismegistus, right? Or interpret, let me just say interpret as Hermes Trismegistus. Those 7 laws of Tahuti: mentalism, a law of mentalism, the law of vibration, the law of polarity, the law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence, the law of rhythm, and the law of gender. Those are the 7 universal laws. Those laws, people can say what they want, but, let me not even go there. But those laws are immutable, right? They exist in the spirit realm. It's the same way that there's a law that you can't put your hand, I don't care how much occultism or magic you do in the world, put your hand on a motherfucking hot stove and see if it doesn't burn. It's a law. It's a law in the universe that if you put your hand on a hot stove, it's going to burn you. There's a law that no matter how much spiritual work you do, right, unless you learn certain things, right, there's a law that if you plunge a knife through your chest, blood is going to come out. There's a law, right? That's not going to stop. Even if no matter how much magic you do, there's no way you could plunge a knife in your chest and there's not going to be blood that comes out. So a lot of times, there's ego involved, or when people go through this magical initiation and go through the hero's journey or the spiritual journey, where they start to think they know it all and they could overtake the grand architect, which is the same force that wakes you up in the morning, right? It doesn't just happen. You know what I'm saying? Shit doesn't just happen. Like, things have order and structure to it. Every species does. So I say all this to say, with the 7 immutable laws of Tahuti, or the Kabbalion, or the 7 universal laws, I got to download that there are actually 8 laws. And the 8th law is the law of abundance. And this is the law that is hidden from us. The law of abundance is hidden from us, and that is the 8th law. And what is the law of abundance? The law of abundance is what you give, you receive in return. The law is what you give, you receive in return. That's the 8th law, right? And it still is dealing with 8, which corresponds to Saturn as well, the cube, right? And it also deals with It deals with reciprocity, and it deals with philanthropy as well, right? It deals with tithing, that science, right? It deals with giving, charity, things like that, right? All this is the law of abundance. What do they say, right? You need money to make money, right? You need money to make money, right? When women see you with beautiful women, they want to be around you because you're around beautiful women. When people see you have money, they want to invest money in you because they know or assume that you make money, right? Like these scammers, they come online, right? What do? They rent a car. They rent a car. They rent a Ferrari. They rent a nice Airbnb for the day, or rent some luxury vehicle for a couple thousand for the day, right? Make fake these private jets. They got these fake private jets that you can rent out and sit in, right? And what do? They sell a course. Oh, I could teach you how to make this. Come join my course, or come download my video, or come to my class, or come watch my YouTube video, or come watch my TikToks, right? I could tell you how to make money. And they wearing designer, wearing jewelry, could all be fake, right? But that image that they project is enough to cause them to get abundance, right? It's like the Wolf of Wall Street, right? He was scamming people, but because he had so much money, goes back to who else? What's homie's name? I just thought of him. Ponzi. The the Ponzi scheme dude. You know what I'm saying? I forgot his real name. I think it's William Ponzi or something like that. But the dude who scammed the Mets and all that, right? And now his name ain't William Ponzi. Damn, I forgot home. If you know what I'm talking about, put in the chat. He basically was um like saying he's running a Ponzi scheme, like robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Taking money, people would invest money with him. Damn, I forgot his name. It'll come to me. But anyway, the law of abundance is that you have to give to get, right? You can't think you're gonna become Bernie Madoff. Thank you, Ultra Instinct. My naga. All right, Bernie Madoff, right? Yep. So he had the appearance of being rich. He had the appearance of being a master money manager. He had the appearance of saying that if I invest your money, you're gonna get X. You're gonna, your money's gonna 3x, 4x, 7x, 8x, right? And people were investing their money, big businesses, because of his image, right? But he had to give off that image. He had to give off that energy. What do the rappers do, right? The rappers. Rick Ross told you he was listening to the song Hustling, hustling and all that, where he's talking about, I know Noriega and all the cars, Jay-Z, all the cars and the money, right? All these things, and Jay-Z is probably one of the unique ones who had a lot of this stuff where he was rapping about. But a lot of these rappers didn't get it until they got big, What did Biggie say? Niggas talking it, but ain't living it, you know? That's what it, and that's the game, and that's what's running the internet right now. To be honest with you, there's a lot of people talking it, but they ain't living it. But they giving off the energy, so people are giving them their currency. People are giving them their attention. People are giving them views. People are giving them likes. People are giving them super chats. People are giving them donations. Some people even giving up ass. And that's the law of abundance. The law of abundance is even with your ancestors, with your deities you work with, you got to give offerings. You got to give offerings. You can't just, there's always something that's required in order to get something. So we're in the 8th year. So I just wanted to remind y'all that, we had a 4-8, the big X eclipse, right? The Ring of Fire eclipse in April, and this full moon was in October, Octopus 8, right? Octo is 8. And we had this on, October the 17th. 1 + 7 = 8. So what you want to do is you want to do some tithing. And I think I said this like 2 videos ago, but this is something you want to do and I don't care if if you don't have money, again, give out old clothes, give out, an old shirt, draw something for somebody, make a meal, give something, give your time. but give, you know what I'm saying? So it could come back to you, because this is really a wealth energy as well. Like 8 deals with business. You know, Saturn deals with business. Saturn is corporate. Set is corporate as fuck. Why is Set corporate, right? I'm talking about Set, the Egyptian deity. Set energy is set, right? When you go to a corporation, it's set, meaning that there's no really diversity besides the people, right? Everybody, when you go to the office, everybody's dressed a certain way. There's usually some sort of uniform, or you're dressed in a shirt and tie. You know, it might be business casual, but business casual. You ain't coming in there, you know, t-shirts and, you know, ripped shorts and shit like that, right? There's it depending on what level of business you're really doing, right? You know, of course there's exceptions to the rule, but we know mostly in the rules in corporate is set, right? Got to clock in, clock out, you know, hour lunch, half hour lunch, these things are set, right? You know, everybody knows what corporate is versus, you know, you not working in corporate, right? It's set. It's business is set. You're exchanging goods and services. That's set. You buy low, sell high. That's set. That ain't never going to change as long as there's capitalism. You know what I'm saying? That's always going to be there. So 8 is something that you really want to, again, if you want to tap in, you're dealing with abundance, you're trying to get this paper, you really want to know in what way can you be of service. And this is the gifts, and the tithing is just like a way to show the universe that you're ready to receive favor and give in other ways. Meaning, what talents do you have? You know, what passions do you have? What are the things that you love that you could give to the planet, you know? So I want to tap into that as well. And also, uh another powerful thing is, make sure y'all can see what I can see. Okay, so it's loading up here too. But basically, oxygen, right, has 8 protons, 8 neutrons, and 8 electrons, right? And you're like, why would I talk about oxygen? Well, we just talked about the number 8, right? You know, and this 8, you know, this 8 energy, you know, also adds up to 24, which adds up to 6. 6 is balance, you know, equality. So 8, this energy that is also in oxygen, where the sun is in Libra. Libra is an air sign. So with Libra being an air sign, right, it's also showing you, and that we again thinking about the air, the cosmos, right? As I told you earlier, we're in the supermoon. We're still under that energy right now. If you go outside, you look at that big, beautiful moon, you'll see that it looks damn closer than probably you've ever seen it, right? That's how it looks to me. Like, I don't know. I've never seen the moon this close, I don't think, right? But anyway, and with the solar maximum, right? With this comet that's around us, right? This purple mountain comet, right? This crown chakra comet. So I don't know why it's taking so long to load right now, but basically it's oxygen, has 8 protons, 8 neutrons, and 8 electrons. Okay, so again, just more signs and symbols of what's going on. And if you look at this particular picture right here, you'll see that there is this is the chakras, right? Again, the northern lights compose of all these chakras, right? The auroras that are coming down to earth, right? That was strong last week. And this light absorbs into the body, and you could use this light because the chi is raised. And the one thing I like about picture, because it shows the crown chakra on the feet. And a lot of people, when they talk about, I mean, the crown chakra, the root chakra, a lot of people, when they talk about the root chakra, they say that the root chakra is where the testicles or ovaries are, you know, and that's not the sexual organs, and that's not necessarily true. That's sacral chakra energy, right? Sexual, sacred, sensual, right? That's sacral chakra energy. But if you look, you know, look at the shape of the Ida and the Pingala, right? The masculine and feminine energy, right? That is going up the spine of the Shishuma. And if you look, you'll see it looks like nothing but a bunch of 8s, right? I don't know if y'all see that, but you'll see it looks like nothing but a bunch of 8s, right? Even if you look at the caduceus, right? It looks nothing but like a bunch of 8s. The snake's going around. It looks like the number 8. So this particular symbol, this 8, is stirring up energy, okay? It's showing you that there's extra energy in the universe. There's extra energy in the air, so to speak. There's extra power in the air. And I know you feel it, right? Even I don't know whenever you watch this, if you watch this tonight, well, if you watch this now, Saturday, Sunday, you feel this full moon. This full moon is intense as fuck. Like it's a very powerful moon. So your kundalini is already up. It's up. It's up, nigga. It's up and it's stuck. It's active. Congratulations. You didn't have to do much breath work. You didn't have to do much yoga. You didn't have to get Reiki done. You didn't have to what else? Go into deep meditative trance. You didn't have to take mushrooms. You don't have to do none of that. You know what I'm saying? The universe is like, look, I'm gonna give it to y'all. Because the universe, the spirit world, the astral realm is like, look, New Moon and Scorpio is on Halloween. New Moon and Scorpio is right around the corner. It's in Halloween. So when the new moon in Scorpio comes, the new moon in Scorpio is going to say, okay, what did you do with this energy as far as, and really it's kind of a look towards next year, but it's really like stirring up energy for rebirth, which means for rebirth to be born again is you're going to have to do some shadow work, which we'll get into, right? But this energy that's moving up the spine, right, it gives you wings, right? And this wings, right, this representation of wings is when your energy's up, you're able to access the universe. You're able to literally fly across the universe in your dreams, in your meditations, in your waking life, right? And this is why it's important during this time, during this weekend, especially during this weekend. I cannot stress it enough. During this weekend and up, even next week into next week, you want to make space. If you're not meditating, okay. I know you niggas don't like meditating. All right. Don't meditate. But listen to some jazz. Listen to some classical. Listen to some binaural beats. Listen to some isochronic tones. Listen to things with no words. Why do you want to not listen to things with words a lot this weekend? You don't want to listen to things with words this weekend is because peace, Mama. You don't want to listen to things with words this weekend because if you listen to things with words, you're going to slow down your rebirth, your natural rebirth, Kundalini awakened, born again transformation process that's going to allow you to dig deep within yourself and tap into your power here on earth, meaning your purpose, what's going to get you rich, what's going to get you wealthy, what's going to get you abundant, what's going to get you healthy, what's going to give you physical vitality, what's going to give you strength, what's going to give you strength of speech in your throat chakra, right? What's going to give you the ability to charm people, right? Because people don't really look at charms as an aspect of spiritual or magical ability. But speaking things into existence is a real thing. And if you do it mentally as well as physically, as above, so below, right? You are able to charm somebody into doing what you want, right? Women do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's natural. You know, that's why Heru or Oshun, she has the mirror, right? There's an act of glamour magic to that, but glamour magic is charm, you know? So so you want to have spaces where you're not watching YouTube, you're not listening to any speakers, you're not listening to what someone's telling you, you're not watching Netflix, you're not watching Max. You want to have blocks of time where you're listening to nothing but your own thoughts. And if you can't do it without any stimuli, because we're in a rapid 1 minute lecture, TikTok type of world, then classical music, binaural beats. Even you type up YouTube, you could type in the sound of nature. Water, listening to water and looking at water naturally lowers the blood pressure, right? It automatically puts you in, takes you from a beta frequency and puts you in a theta frequency, right? Where you're able to go into the theta, the theater of your mind, right? And tap and get these ideas. And you're going to have to face yourself this weekend. You're going to have to, if you're really about, your the master's work, right? If you're really about the master's work, if you're really about becoming a god here on earth, because you can't get the crown, you can't get the wings if you don't use the energy properly and channel it properly. And right now the universe is like, it's download time. Suns and Libra, again, air sign, right? Air is all about thoughts and ideas, right? Swords in the tarot, thoughts and ideas. So I want to cover that. And also, again, I said this in my other video, my aunt is Virgo, okay? My aunt is Virgo, but my aunt is, and this is my aunt, right? My aunt is not only Virgo, but my aunt is Libra, right? My aunt is Virgo. The feather on the top of my aunt's head is the the same thing as the wheat that Virgo was holding, right? And when she's holding the scale, which I'll show you in a second, she's acting as my aunt and Libra together, right? So this is the time of my aunt. My aunt is a goddess of balance, right? Goddess of balance, goddess of justice, goddess of oneness, a goddess of abundance. Also, she is ruled by Jupiter, which is where the full moon was, right? On Thursday. Thursday is Jupiter Day. So I'm just showing you the signs and symbols and how important really this weekend is towards your future. I can't stress it enough, because you'll be able to transform old things really fast, old traumas really fast if you focus on it. You'll be able to let go old stuff really fast. You'll be able to integrate your shadow self with your conscious self real fast. You'll be able to align your inner sun and moon real fast because the energy is here. But you got to work with the energy. It's not going to work with you just because you're a 9 ether being, or because you read all the books in the library, or because you're a chosen one, or because you have roots from Senegal or something like that. It doesn't work like that. So how it works is this: law of Ma'at. It says God needs you in order to come into the world. Fulfilling God's need is the highest act of love, and only through your love for God can you fulfill your love for others. Become the love of God in the world for the protection of the world, right? Now, for the protection of the world, it doesn't mean like that you're going to, you're here to save everybody. That's not what this particular law is saying. It is saying, this is from Metal Netter, Volume 1 by Raul Nefer. And what it's saying is that you are here to be a God here in the flesh. But as I said, a God is a title, right? It's just a title, but you have to earn that title. For instance, right? I don't have I'm not a politician. I don't care about politics. I'm a divine being. Whatever happens, I'm going to adjust, I'm going to move and shake in order to take care of myself and my family the best way I know how. I'm a man, you know what I'm saying? Looking for a leader. No offense, but that's a woman's function. You know what I'm saying? A man is supposed to be able to lead in his own capacity, even if that leadership is following someone else. But to just be a follower, that's not a man's job. You know what I'm saying? That's not what a man's supposed to do. So the whole thing, to hold the whole process of voting, right, is a vote. A vote is a vow, first and foremost. The etymology of the word vote means vow. So when you vote for somebody, you're vowing, you're making a vow. You're making, when you get married, right, you take what? Take marriage vows, right? So that shit ties you forever. So that means when a motherfucker sends a drone, to Pakistan or Lebanon, right? Like recently, you know what, the Israelis, they did some whole Trojan horse. The Israelis a couple of weeks ago, they had they put in the beepers, right? They put in beepers, which I didn't even know people still use beepers, but they had beepers and they had walkie-talkies that they shipped to Lebanon. This is not allegedly Israel, they took responsibility for this, right? They sent beepers and walkie-talkies with bombs in them, right? Trojan horses, like with bombs, and the bombs just went off. They set them off just randomly at one time, right? So they were just blowing people up left and right in Lebanon with these these rigged devices. So I say all that to say that, you know, damn, I forgot my thought. I forgot my thought. Oh snap! See, it's 3:34 here. Don't judge me. It may come back to me soon, but maybe that's my cue to keep it moving. But yeah. So, but basically, about this is being a protection for the world. Is you being a god? Is you being someone that has not only has spiritual power but has a moral compass. You know, when you talk about people that are revered as spiritual leaders that have passed on, that people really really hold in high esteem, these people also treated other people well. You know, they also looked out for other people. You know, they also were people that people generally got along with and felt that they could trust. You know, so it's not about, you know, again, you know, the sun, which is a representative of your representative or a symbol of your soul. The sun shines on the white righteous and the wicked. So if you become a person that is a divine being, then you know when to be wicked and when to be righteous, right? And I know that sounds like, why would I ever want to be wicked? Well, I'm gonna put it to you like this, right? Do you think, and I've said this before, a slave, right? A slave in bondage, do you, in order to eat sometimes or get certain things that they need, they had to be wicked. According to the slave master, that was wicked, right? That was evil. They were stealing, right? Maybe they stole a potato, you know, maybe they stole some cake. Maybe they were like Martin in life, you know, white lady's pie. What do you say? White man's pie. You know what I'm saying? White man's pie. You know, it almost got shot for that damn pie. You know what I'm saying? But you know, this is what people do. So you might be you know, that might be what's going on with you. But being a person or being, you know, for the protection of the world is basically about knowing that you're a person that is God here on earth. That's the best way to explain it, right? You know what I'm saying? That's the best way to explain it. And that's really the only way. And people try to bounce it and flip it and do all these other type of things, you know, because of what they've learned from European occultists. But really, you're supposed to be the light of the world if you are calling yourself a god. And that's why the melanated community is going through so much right now. You know, that's why there's the Diddy trials. That's why Bill Cosby. That's why Drake. That's why Kendrick got to perform for the Super Bowl, right? Because we need to right the wrongs. You know, that's why Dame Dash, you know, or, you know, one of the creators of of flossing and things like that, superficial in hip hop, teeth fell out, right? That's why all these things are happening and all these people are getting exposed, because it's time for them to be exposed. And it's time for us as melanated beings, you know, those of us that are melanated, more indigenous people, to be the leaders of the planet, to be the gods of the planet. And we can't be the gods of the planet if we're, you know, doing all these nefarious things. If I can't trust you, if I can't leave my daughter with you or leave my wife with you and know they're going to be okay, I don't care how many spells you have. You haven't reached God level yet. You're still going to come back. Like a lot of people be like, oh, I ain't coming back. But then the next time they're talking about hexing somebody or binding somebody. I don't understand. You want to be just like you want to be a slave master yourself. You binding people, that's slavery. You know what I'm saying? You forcing people to do what you want to do, that's slavery. Now again, I could be wicked, right? I could be God. That's what I was saying. I could be God and I could be, wicked, right? I could be good and I could be evil. You know what I'm saying? If I am coming through and trying to save, the people that I love to the person that's opposing me saving the people that I love, I'm wicked. I'm the devil. You understand? So to somebody who you're a hater, you're the devil to your hater. If people are hating on you, you're the devil to them. You're wicked to them. You're evil to them. You know what I'm saying? When people see you changing and transforming and coming into yourself and they judge you and they criticize you, you're weird, right? They call you weird, right? You're different. You're out to them. You're not going according to the program. What the fuck is wrong with you? That you don't want to be a sheep, that you don't want to be a slave. So becoming a vessel gives you wings, and these wings allow you to access cosmic energy and cosmic power and see signs and symbols of what you need to do, which are some of the things I'm right. So going into my aunt and that vesselship, right, there's more signs and symbols to come. So when you look at my aunt, and I'm going to read this thing, let me just make sure, okay, I'm going to read this on the right real quick. So it says, I'm going to skip the top part. It says, Ma'at, food of Ra. So Ma'at is the ancient Egyptian concept of law, right? And you could tell that because we've all, well, unfortunately, I've had the unfortunate circumstances of going to court many a times and seeing that so-called Lady Justice outside the courtroom building, right? And we've all seen Lady Justice, right, holding the scale, so Ma'at is the concept of law. This fact is where all cultures got the concept of law. And the spirit Ra is the entity of energy and matter, and energy everywhere in the universe is governed by law. So you could think of Ra as Kundalini energy. You could call it Chi. You could call it Prana, right? Call it high vibes, whatever, right? Ra. If you want to use, and Ra is also the sun in the midday sun, right? And Ra is also the midday sun, the noon sun, when the sun is at its brightest. So if you want, or at its highest, I should say, if you want to use the faculties and powers of the spirit, you must observe the divine laws. Ma'at governs its operations. Spirituality is living the divine law, plain and simple. This is most important because people think that spirituality is praying, meditating, invoking spirits, worshiping God or gods, practicing yoga, and so on. No, spirituality is living by divine laws. Okay. So there's a certain level that you get to spiritually, right? And that you could do things, you could manipulate, the universe and be a wicked person. That's obvious. That's obvious that there's occultists that's running this world that know how to use sound and image and light, right? And through television and YouTube and Instagram, Facebook. Look at the way the algorithms run and continue to feed us things that we like. Even if the things that we like and the things that we're searching are not good for us, it'll keep playing it in repetition until you, the user, decide to switch up the algorithm. This is why you always have to change. You should always be looking at different things on these social media websites so you could kind of keep it off balance. And plus, so you could be more balanced in what you consume as well, right? You don't want to just consume something from, quote unquote, black people or quote unquote, white people, right? You don't want to just consume, you know, consume different things, funny things, animals, whatever, right? Whatever you like. Consume different things, though. Don't just consume what the algorithm's always feeding you, right? Unless that feedback loop is positive and it's energizing you. But a lot of people's feedback loops is feeding them fear and anxiety and conspiracies on the 27, 365-day loop, and that is depleting your power, and that's depleting your chi too, because conspiracies, bad news And what the government's going to do next, the aliens that's coming and all this crazy shit that people are worried about, vampires, ghouls, and goblins, right? And all matters of beasts, it's you have a limited energy bar. It's like a video game character. You have a limited energy bar throughout the day. That's that Ra. So you have to use that wisely, and especially during times like this. So anyway, Ma'at, right? The feather, as I explained earlier, um, it corresponds to also being light as a feather, right? Your conscience, your spirit being light as a feather, you being able to have a conscience, not a conscious, but a conscience. And the scale that she is holding is the Anubis scale, right? So even though it is Ma'at, the scale is Anubis's, right? And this is shown in the weighing of the dead, right? With Anubis holding the scale and Tahuti or thought writing down, the judgment of the dead neophyte or the dead student or the dead person, right? So Ma'at would be the one to arbitrate, or she would be, you know, the person holding court, so to speak, and Tahuti and Anubis, which is what the scale represents, right? So that's the whole scale. So Ma'at's feather is there, and there is your heart, right? And we know the heart is the first thing that is created once you are born. So we want to talk about Anubis, right? So the scale, as we say, the scale of Ma'at, like I said, and Virgo and Libra, both of those seasons are Ma'at, right? So Anubis and the scale is Anubis. So Anubis is the god of the underworld. So look what's happening. We got a new moon's going to be in Scorpio on the 31st on Halloween, right? So Anubis, the god of the underworld. So Anubis is represented by the color black, right? I mean, what do y'all call yourself? Black people, right? So the color black is for death and rebirth, according to the Cometians. That's their definition, not the English definition, but the Cometians, death and rebirth. It's also black is also the color of fertility. It's also the color of soil, right? Soil is black, so it's fertility, soil, fertile soil, right? So death and rebirth, right? Also, you could say the cosmos is black, right? So black or darkness. He was the guardian of the dead and many magical secrets. All right. Anubis is also a god of mummification. If you saw Egyptian gods, right, you understand. He was in the funeral parlor, right? Anubis was in the funeral parlor, and he was tending to the dead. So Anubis also is the one who mummified the dead, right? So he was the guardian of the dead and many magical secrets, one of the oldest Egyptian gods, original keeper of the dead, right? So again, that's the scale, and Anubis is basically dealing with the underworld, right? And one of the reasons Anubis is powerful and how it corresponds to Halloween and this particular month of October and the ancestral energy that's coming in and the rebirthing energy that's coming in is jackals. All right. Anubis is a jackal. And Anubis is the Egyptian god of the underworld, and mummification is depicted as a jackal because jackals were associated with death in cemeteries in ancient Egypt. Okay. So jackals were associated with death. Jackals were often seen around tombs where they would eat the flesh of the dead. Okay. So they would hang around tombs and eat the flesh of the dead. So it says jackals were protectors of the dead. Halloween is all about celebrating the dead, right? All about you being born again and putting on a new costume, right? Putting on a new skin, so to speak, right? Jackals were protectors of the dead. The Egyptians believed by making Anubis the patron deity of jackals, they could protect the dead from being eaten. Jackals were a symbol of rebirth. All right. So again, if you've been watching this, you keep seeing all these themes about rebirth, right? And transformation and change and being reborn, right? So the color black was associated with death, right? But it also represents the rich soil of the Nile Valley, which symbolized rebirth. All right. Anubis is depicted in black, which represents both the decay of the body and the rebirth of the afterlife. Okay. Self-explanatory. So Anubis is god of the underworld, and the reason he's a god jackals because jackals were seen around the dead. Now, this is what happened this week. All right, there's a pyramid on the there's a dog on the top of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Look at this, a whole Anubis on top of the Great Pyramid. A man flying high above Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza in a powered paraglider spotted something unexpected on top of an ancient landmark. A dog. He said the dog had climbed all the way to the top of the pyramid and was barking at birds. Okay. So a jackal is also part of the canine factory. And if you study this further, you see that Anubis was always compared with canines and jackals, right? And in fact, the land of the dead was considered and look at what's coming, and look what comes next, right? DMX. And you know what's weird about this? Hold up. You know what's weird about this? Let me show y'all something. I actually have a DMX t-shirt on. And this is not set up this way. I have a DMX undershirt on. That's wild. I swear I didn't plan it. I'm swear I didn't plan it for the video. I swear I didn't plan it for the video. So you're the dead, right? Or your ancestors, obviously. And Anubis is saying that your ancestors are here. Your ancestors are waiting for you to connect with them. Get your ass a glass of water. Get your ass a candle. Get your ass a glass of water. Get your ass a candle. Get your ass a piece of paper and write a letter to your ancestors. Write a letter to your dead homies. Write a letter to your grandma, grandpa, uncle. Even if you were adopted and you don't know who your ancestors are, pick a celebrity that you love and that inspires you. And what you're gonna do in this letter is ask for assistance with whatever you're trying to, whatever you need, whether it's money, love, a change, right? And also in the spirit, right? And what will you sacrifice? Because again, the law of abundance is you got to give to get. So what are you going to sacrifice, right? And not sacrifice in the form of like the Mayans sacrificing bodies, but what are you going to sacrifice as far as, or the Aztecs or whatever? What are you going to sacrifice as far as a habit, as far as a something that's holding you back, right? What are you going to exchange for the spiritual powers that have been bestowed on you and that will be bestowed on you um and here and then up until the coming year, because this is harvest season. This is the gathering up, the storehouse of storing, the fruits, the vegetables, right? The animals, right? The storing. If you lived on a farm, this is what you do because winter is coming, right? So you'd make sure you had a storehouse of things to get through the winter, and so that when spring comes, right, you're able to have food and crops, right, and good land and things like that. So this is the same thing you're doing with the spiritual powers that you're developing over the winter and going into the winter solstice. You'll being able to access the power of your ancestors, and tapping into that power of your ancestors is what that particular animal, that particular is what Anubis was trying to show us. And once I saw that, I said, oh, that's Anubis on the top of the Great Pyramid, right? I said, wow, that's crazy. Let me show y'all again. I just want to show y'all again this paraglider, right? And it just happened to happen a day before the full moon that I saw this. And this happened really that day. The 16th, I believe it was. Yeah, the 16th, where the door aligned with Orion's belt at one time, right? So these pyramids have direct cosmic alignment as well, right? So these are just the signs and symbols. So Again, tap into that ancestral energy. And also there's pyramids, right? Not just here, there's pyramids everywhere. But a lot of people, when they talk about pyramids, they only focus on the pyramids of Egypt. But there's also pyramids in what they call Sudan. And Sudan, uh, which is where the Sahara is, flooded for the first time in decades. So I talked about this, so I'm gonna be real short on this. But the Sahara's flood represents the rush of blood or blood flow that goes through the body. Okay, so this is where you need those pungent herbs, right? You need herbs like ginger, garlic, cloves, bladderwrack. We'll get into it, right? So that you could flood the body as well and keep your chi, keep your prana, keep your kundalini up, right? Just because we have this full moon, we're not going to have a full, like the full moon energy is going to start to wane, right? It's already waning a little bit, right? But it's going to start, but because we have a super moon, it's going to last, most likely the energy is going to last until like Monday afternoon, right? Then Monday evening, it's not going to be as strong. But you could continue to channel this energy, right? By tapping into this, and this is just as above, so below. So when you see flooding in the Sahara, again, which is a place that had, um that a place that had a place that was a desert, and a place that had pyramids as well, right? This is talking about blood flow, chi, kundalini, right? Energy that you have the access to, because again, this is the first time this happened in decades. First time we're having a solar maximum, right? It's the first time this month where we had record breaking X flare, right? I think that hasn't happened until like 2014 or something like that, and so on and so forth. So again, I'm just saying the energy is on a planet. I talked about water on earlier. If you look, this is the water molecule, right? And water, blood flow, flooding in the Sahara, the water in your body, right? The chi, the prana, the kundalini. If you see, this is oxygen, and oxygen, which we talked about earlier, is the number 8, which we're in the 8th year, which is thoughts, ideas, air, right? Oxygen. And if you look, it looks just like a pyramid. Oh, I'm sorry, water. This is water. So you look at, this is a structure of the water molecule. So this corresponds to the flooding, this again, blood flow, all that. And the water molecule is dealing with the emotions, right? And putting the emotional body in check. And I thought it was interesting that water, the water molecule, this is the two H's, 2 hydrogen atoms, and the oxygen atom in the middle. I thought it was very interesting that it's also a pyramid, which is where Anubis was. And if you think of water, right, when you think of depth, you could also think of the depth of the ocean, you know, the depth of the sea, the depth of you, right? The waves you have, the waves of emotion you have, right? And mastering that and getting it to a point where all your emotions are meant to serve your highest good, right? And as highest good is you being one with God, and you being a God here on earth, and you being a vessel of the divine and an example of divinity. Again, this is why all this stuff is happening to melanated people, because we are supposed to be God beings here on earth, and representative of all that is just and true, right? Not good, but just. You know what I'm saying? Not good, not goody goody, but just and true, fair and firm, right? That's what people want. People want people that are going to be just. People want justice in life, right? That's what the people everything you think about is a everything that you think about, really, that's most of the stuff that's negative of society are injustices. That's why when you get locked up, you go into the justice system, because injustices are why society is as chaotic and disturbed and as out of control as it is. And obviously, we see Christianity is not helping the people at all. And the reason Christianity is not helping is because the white man's God is a black man's devil. Now, when you talk about Christianity, I'm not talking about, um, you getting money. Like, a lot of people think they're blessed because they're getting money. Like getting money is anybody could get money. Anybody could at fool. Honey Boo Boo is getting money. You know what I'm saying? Literally, Honey Boo Boo is getting money. With his show. Like you could have 8, 9, 10 kids and get a show on TLC. Get a couple of twins. You set. You know what I'm saying? Be 600-700 pounds. Get your ass on TLC, right? Do a reality show. Act a fool. You'll get some money, right? Sell your, sell your nudes on OnlyFans. You'll get some. Like you get money. You can get money. So getting money doesn't mean you're blessed. Getting money doesn't mean you're blessed. Being blessed is when you're at peace, when you have joy in your life, not taking a lot of medication to do so, drugs to do so, when you have good friends that you could trust that are just and fair with you, that you could lean on and laugh with, right? When you got family in your life that love you, that trust you, that you could confide in them and they could confide in you, whether that family is your blood family or your friend family, right? That's 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 life, right? And how many people are that to other people? But everybody wants that for them, right? So it's about getting to this. So be water, my friend. Be the water molecule, and also speak to your water. Drink water, obviously. And right now, what's interesting too about this? It just came to me. Right now, your body, your physical body, because it's no longer summer, your body is retaining more water. Did you know that? Because, and I don't care how much you're sweating and all that, you're never going to sweat like you sweat when it's summer. And if you live in a place where it's a hot climate, it's still getting cooler out here in the West. So you have to, you have to, you have to go into the depth of who you are to again raise the kundalini so you could tap into get into that air sign, right? Get those wings that I showed you earlier. Go into so one of the ways you do this is through shadow work. Okay, many cultures throughout the beginning of time, all over the world, believe in the idea that you could lose your soul when you go through extreme trauma. Your spirit will leave the body to protect itself, leaving you to run on autopilot and feeling very detached as well as lost without hope. This can also lead to depression, feeling fatigued and easily subdued by the ego. All right. So as far as people talk about, you could sell your soul, selling your soul is not going against your integrity, going against your own honor, going against what you feel is right, going against, how going against the scale of justice, where your heart is not being as light as a feather. There's many people that are into occultism and esoteric spirituality, and they're not good people, right? Yeah, they may know how to do magic with certain things, but you don't want to hang around them for too long. You know, don't get drunk and leave, drop your wallet. Don't leave your girl around them. You understand? So, and this is not to say, again, that you're not going to go through your own challenges. This is about the shadow work is for you and your tribe. This is not to say the world is going to be as you are. That's not going to happen. But in order for you to be an example of the Most High, you have to be the Most High. And that comes with responsibility. With great power comes responsibility. And it's responsibility, the ability to respond, right? So when you go through extreme trauma, your spirit will leave the body to protect itself, right? So how many of us spirits have left the body? You could see that. You could see that with the drill music. You could see that with the ratchetness. You could see that in society easily, that the spirit has left many people's body. All right. And, people are lost and without hope and definitely, depressed, heavy depressed. We're in a drugged up society, not just, illegal drugs, but prescription drugs, right? The pharmaceutical companies are the new drug dealers. So it says another term for this is shadow work. This is the act of seeing the light in the darkness, making sense of the old wounds, your triggers, behavior, and transforming into a balanced and spiritually evolved being that is able to harness all their inner power. This is when your soul comes back home. So, you know, the word spirit means breath. I think I say that in every video. The etymology of the word spirit means breath. So, and you are spiritual. Everybody's spiritual. Everybody's breathing. So all y'all niggas are spiritual, the good and the bad, right? They all spiritual. It's what side of the force are you going to be? Doesn't mean you won't be a Jedi Knight and won't be able to defend yourself, but it's how you're going to govern. You know, some of these people, if you gave them power and let them take over, they create slaves. They belittle people. They be just as bad as the Caucasian cracker that they complain about all day. And I'm not saying all Caucasian people are crackers. Caucasian people know what crackers are just the same way Caucasian people know what Karens are, right? But we all know that there is a subset of Caucasian people that you could definitely see don't have any soul, right? The people that are running the world, people in the IMF, the World Economic Forum, Billy Gates, Klaus Schwab and them, these guys didn't do any shadow work. They look at them. You could tell by the way their body composition, by the way they look, that they suffered trauma. And just because they're financially successful, it doesn't mean they're blessed. All right. So people need to stop saying that, oh, this person's blessed because they got a big house, a car, and might be married to somebody. That doesn't mean shit. You could be as wicked as a motherfucker and get all that. You know what I'm saying? You could be as bad to people as you can and get all that, right? So again, the shadow work is about you understanding your old wounds, your triggers, right? And once you see these things come up, you really got to understand and ask yourself where these things come from, you know? And this is why you want to have, again, binaural beats, isochronic tones, classical music, jazz, instrumentals, things with no words. Because right now a lot of memories are going to come back for you to examine, but they're going to come in your stream of consciousness. They're going to come in the air like spirit. They're just going to come to you, but you have to be able to be a reservoir. Again, this is if you're not going to meditate, right? You're going to have time, go out in nature, sit in the park, don't take the headphones off and just listen, right? And it may be boring for a little while, right? This ain't spirituality, really high level spirituality is not a microwave thing, you know? Sit in the park for 5-10 minutes, and continue to ask, for what, I want to understand this. I want to understand that. It'll come to you. I promise you, because all the signs and symbols that I'm telling you about are here. It's undeniable. Their ancestors are here. Halloween again is the new moon. It's coming. So you doing the shadow work now is going to prepare you to bond with them and for them to help you from now up until the new year and beyond. But you have to make the connection. And the way you merely make the connection is to be as light as a feather so that the kundalini can continue to rise, so that you can have the energy to connect with everything. So the shadow work is not just some fancy smancy shit. It's part of spirituality. And this study, child trauma recovery tied to thoughts, not event severity. All right. So child trauma recovery is tied to thoughts, not event severity. So the thoughts that you think, right, are what's holding you back, not the event that happened. So that means if you were R-worded, that means, if you were touched on, that means if you were, somebody hurt you from the opposite race or opposite culture, that means if whatever happened to you, whatever trauma you've gone through, right, it's tied to the thoughts itself, has nothing to do with the severity of the event. A new study reveals how children mentally process traumatic events is the most significant factor in predicting their mental health outcomes, including PTSD, anxiety, and depression. So it says how they mentally process traumatic events is the most significant factor. Okay, keep that in mind. Cognitive factors like how children remember the event and view themselves afterward. This is the key. And view themselves afterward play a more critical role than the event's objective severity. So, what is this saying without even reading this whole rest of the thing? It's saying that the trauma that you had as a child is all based, it's all in your head. It's all in how you think about it. This goes back to what I said in my last how it stores memories, but also the emotions behind the memories, because mind moves matter, right? Thoughts are things, right? Words are worlds. So when you're thinking a thought, it produces biochemical modulations and fluctuations in the body that create emotions. Emotions are energy in motion. So when you think of this childhood trauma, when this childhood trauma is backed in your head, right, it comes up. And what happens is your childhood trauma comes up. You know when it comes up and when it affects you the most? Your childhood trauma is linked. Your childhood trauma is linked to your fight or flight. Now, why is it linked to your fight or flight? Because in this world that we live in, you're going to have fight or flight instances. You're going to have times in your life where challenges are going to happen. People are going to fuck with you. Shit is going to go left. Things are going to go wrong. This happens to the rich, the poor, the ugly, the beautiful, the fat, the skinny, the fit, the healthy, the unhealthy, the drunkard, the crackhead, the billionaire, the zillionaire. We all go through shit in life. And what happens is when you go through something, you're going to respond based on your thoughts. And the thoughts that you think, your shadow self, right? You're going to pull from the shadow instead of pulling from the infinite subconscious mind, instead of pulling from the power and the portal of God, instead of pulling from the resource of the quantum universe, right? Quantum just means light. Instead of you pulling from the quantum universe and you being able to manipulate the situation in your favor in some way, shape, or form, you might react to a conflict and something with anger that may not serve you in that particular moment. You might react with violence that may not be needed. You know, like Dave Chappelle has the skits when keeping it real goes wrong. You know what I'm saying? You might be keeping it real and then it goes wrong on you. And by keeping it real going wrong, right? You mess, all type of things, be thrown in prison, die, lose your life, lose your family, lose your husband, your wife, whatever. There's all sorts of losses depending on how you react to certain things. So your childhood trauma, that's when it pops up. It pops up when you respond to things. It pops up when you're challenged. That's why a lot of people, you know, that are in spiritual development, they'll run into narcissists because the narcissist is going to love bomb you right in the beginning. Then they're going to start criticizing you. That's how narcissists work, right? You're the best thing since sliced bread when you first start meeting them. They start praising you and telling you how good you are, and you start to feed off that, right? It's a mind fuck like no other. You know what I'm saying? You start to feed on that, right? That encouragement, that light. But then they take away the light, and then they start to criticize you and talk shit about you, and then you right keep, because you remember the light that you got from the person, you keep going back and you keep trying to get that light back. But that light was fugazi to begin with. It was just was to get you to trust them, and it just was to get you to lean on them. And in some cases, with some people, depending on how your personal self esteem, to depend on them for everything, right? And lose yourself in them. And that's exactly what a narcissist wants. But the reason the spiritual person goes through that is because all relationships are reflections of you. Everybody that you've been with is a reflection of you in some way, shape, or form, or you wouldn't have put your what do they call it? Your lingam inside of her, and you wouldn't let him put his lingam inside your yoni if there was no connection, if they weren't a part of you. So coming into the aspect of so coming into the aspect of these different challenges in life, your childhood trauma and your unsolved, again, you dealing with a narcissist, right, is unresolved childhood trauma where you're not standing up for yourself and you're not setting boundaries, right? The minute a narcissist changes up and transforms, your job is to set the boundary, right? That's how you beat a narcissist, by telling them no, by setting a boundary, by being willing to take a loss of their attention, you know, because narcissists feed off attention. And that's just one example of how childhood trauma, wrecks and can impact your life in ways that are not good for you, you know? So that's why it's very important to do the shadow work behind changing the thoughts and the energy. This is why I say, go into meditation. And, a lot of people avoid this. They stay with something on all day, every day. First thing in the morning is the phone and the doom scrolling. Then it's the movies. Then it's the music, even in the shower, And don't get me wrong, I play music in the shower sometimes too. But a lot of times, the shower is one of the best places for you to get a meditation in because, again, water naturally lowers your blood pressure. It puts you in a theta mode, a trance type of mode. So you're able to gain thoughts, gain ideas, think, you know. You're in a bathroom, in the toilet, the phone, the music. You're always listening to something. If you go to bed, you got the TV on all night. You always got somebody else is always talking to you. Somebody else is always talking to you. And what happens is when trauma happens, you pull off of you. The subconscious records everything. The subconscious mind records everything. Even if you got the TV on when it's sleeping, this is scientific fact. So the subconscious mind is always, so a lot of times you trying to problem solve or you're trying to reach a certain goal, but you have, again, your heart is not as light as a feather. It's weighed down with all this bullshit, all these movies, all these series, with them problem solving, with them going through certain things. So when you go through your own conflict where there's a fight, flight, or fight or flight, you know what I'm saying, or fright, scare response, right? You that's what you pull up. That's what you load up. That's the soil. That's what you plant in the soil of your soul. So when it's time to pull, when you need some sort of nourishment, right? Spiritual nourishment, right? Conscious nourishment, right? Consciousness in a certain situation, you pull from this reservoir instead of pulling from your God source. Because your God source, your quantum energy, right? Your higher self, whatever you want to call it, right? The breath in your body, right? Your parasympathetic, your paranormal, your supernatural powers, when you want to tap into that, right? You don't have to access. So it's important to lighten these things by visualizing them, by writing them down, by facing your trauma. Go to somebody if you need to. Talk therapy is cool, right? If you need to go to a psychotherapist, right? Or a psychoanalyst, talk therapy is cool, you know? But again, this new moon was in Aries, so when you do this, you have to actually not just lip service, right? You got to actually do things. So whether it's writing, and I also recommend movement, like walking and thinking about this, like not just driving, but actually physical movement, like moving the body, right? Moving this chi from this full moon, moving this energy around, right? Let it get into your chakras. Hit the gym this weekend. You know what I'm saying? Hit the gym, work this stuff out, and then hit the gym. You know what I'm saying? Take a walk. You know, whatever. If you're in the house, man, do what you can. Like move around. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you could do, but get that chi flowing. Because have sex. You know what I'm saying? Have sex and don't just lay on your back. You know what I'm saying? Get some motion. Get some motion. So, because this is again, Halloween is coming. New moon in Scorpio is coming. And all that shit's coming up. All that shit's coming up. All that shit's coming up for you to heal. But you have to take the time. You know what I'm saying? You got to take the time. Don't, sometimes the gift is, what's blocking your abundance is these traumas. So it's the thoughts, not the event. It's how you think about it. A good series, one of my favorite series is The Penguin, right? This particular episode was Setiani, very kind of a horror episode to me. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's because, I've been incarcerated before, but this shit was like different. You know what I'm saying? And it says Sophia's magical mysteryception tour, right? So, this particular episode, she had to go through some deep shadow work. And it was all about her going back to her past and her figuring out was okay, her going back to her past and her figuring out the particular image I'm looking for. So she was in prison. I'm not going to break it down because The Penguin is just one of them shows that like it's excellent. I just think everybody should watch it. I hope more people watch it so they renew it again because it's not getting a lot of good ratings. But I'm not ratings, but watches. But anyway, she's in prison and she emerges from prison and she gets betrayed. Spoiler alert, she gets betrayed by the Penguin, right? And the Penguin betrayed her before. Actually, the Penguin's betrayal is what got her in this prison situation. And I won't be a spoiler and go through the details, but she comes out, right? And she's at this dinner and she's wearing this yellow dress. And the yellow dress is the solar plexus chakra. So I said, aha. So the solar plexus chakra, that's your mental energy, right? That's your willpower. That's your, um, you know, self control. You're over yourself. It's your beliefs. And basically, this yellow dress was a symbol of her coming into power and her not relying on anybody else. And as the new episodes come out Sunday, you'll see more of that in her because now she's gonna start to recruit her own crew and go to war, right? And again, I won't get into the details if you don't watch it, but the yellow, and again, this is what lighting of the feather helps you do: see signs and symbols and see things that the average person can't see because you have your chakras are blocked essentially. That's the best way to say it. And when these energies do come up, like these super moons and new moons, solar flares and shit like that, you're not tapped in. So you won't be able to harness that energy. It'll go to playing Madden, it'll go into having random sex, it'll go into doom scrolling, it'll go into Netflix watching, it'll go into everything else but you. It'll go into everything else except your knowing thyself and your spiritual development and you're enhancing your personal magic via your electromagnetic field with your chakras being open, right? So she's still, even though it's in the solar plexus, she's still in the lower chakras, but she's a villain. So it makes sense that she would, even through her doing her shadow work, still be in just the chakra right below the heart, right? So, signs and symbols of the times. Let's go. So this is something we all have within us, right? Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, hero, villain, right? God, demon, you know. And again, people might not feel comfortable hearing that, but again, to your ops, right? You're a demon. To people who don't like you, you're a devil. To people who don't fuck with you, you're a bad guy, right? You're evil. So there's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and not even just that, right? The thoughts we think and the stream of consciousness that we have randomly, fucking crazy thoughts come to your head. You know what I'm saying? Just things just come, thoughts and ideas just come. And if you're not tapped into your will, right, your solar plexus energy, that root energy, because again, she wore the yellow dress because now she's in control. So this is what you have to do with your mind. You have to control the information you take in. You have to control, the people that you surround yourself with, the environments you're in, and have to have daily practices that are going to continue to nurture the chi force, the ra force, the prana, the kundalini in you and stimulate that to the point to where you are able to manage Dr. Jekyll and Hyde and use Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde where Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll are needed. You understand? Good and bad. There are times when it's time to be a Mr. Hyde. There's a time where it's time to be Dr. Jekyll, right? And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I mean, people, I think everybody knows Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? But Dr. Jekyll basically turned to Mr. Hyde, you know what I'm saying? And it's just showing the duality of you, the yin and yang, black and white, right? The yin and yang of you. And that's why that is such a prominent, yin and yang is such a prominent figure in Taoism or spirituality, because that is the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate peace. And you get to this point, you know, through also understanding that people have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in them too. And once you understand that, your heart becomes light as a feather because you become more compassionate. You could look at your mom, you could look at your pop, you could look at your uncle, you could look at your abuser, you could look at your hater, and you could say, damn, I feel bad for them, if anything. You know, you could look at them and not look at them and be so angry, but you could understand that these people have come into your life, right, or have been part of your growing up, your childhood, or part of, you know, your college, or, you know, your job or whatever, right? You know, or your love life, whatever. These people have come up as challenges to help you develop your higher self, because everyone that you're around is a reflection of you. Every situation is a reflection of you. So both sides of you have to be nurtured. Your shadow self has to be fed, and your conscious self has to be fed. The dark side has to be fed, and the light side has to be fed. And spirituality allows you to access different points. That's why there's different gods and goddesses for different things. You know, for instance, Oshun is much different than Kali Ma. You know, those are two different frequencies. But Kali Ma, who's a head cutter, and Oshun, who's a lover, right? Both frequencies are necessary. Both frequencies are necessary. You know, they say better to be a farmer. What is it? There's a saying. I'm probably messing it up, but better to be a farmer, or better to be a warrior in a farm than a farmer in a war. Better to be a warrior in a farm than a farmer in a war. And that means that, you know, you want to be able to tap into each frequency and know how to use it. You know, you don't want to be too good to where you're self-righteous. One of them, I hate goody goodies. I hate me personally. I hate people that are good. I hate people that are self-righteous and that they're chosen and they're better than everybody, you know, because you're not. You know, behind closed doors, when you take off the holy garments and the crystals, you pee and poop like everybody else, you know, and we all have stages. Like, a lot of people are judging, you know, right now, a lot of spiritual people, especially with the internet, you know, they're judging people, judging celebrities, judging everyone, you know, based on the fact that they read some books and did a magic trick or two, you know, got an altar set up or whatever, you know a little something, and they're judging people based on that. You know what I'm saying? But he without sin cast the first stone. You know, we all got negative in us. All of us. There's nobody that's, like it says in the Bible, no one is righteous. No one. Your favorite YouTuber, your favorite scholar, your guru, nobody's righteous. Everybody got some shit hitting in the back, in the shadow. Things you don't see. Right? So know thyself is the law. Know thyself. Right? Not anybody else. Know thyself. Because through self, you understand others. And through self, you can see what others are going through. And you could also protect yourself from people that are trying to Mr. Hyde you, right? And people that are trying to mislead you. People that are slicksters. People that are, you know, scammers. You'll be able to see these things easy because you see that part of yourself. So this is what we deal with when we talk about shadow work. We're dealing with the persona. Persona means through sound. That is the ego. All right. The ego, people with big egos who, these people like alpha males and alpha females who, I'm this, I'm, rough and tough, and I'm, gangster, and, I'm a thug, and, those type of archetypes. Or I'm a corporate boss, I'm a boss bitch, or I'm a boss, or I'm a business man, all these types that, and there's nothing wrong with saying these things. There's nothing wrong, because your ego is what causes you to rise above certain circumstances. It is an aspect of Haru. It is an aspect of the hero in you. You have to tap into that ego, right? But the ego is only one part of you. It's not supposed to run you, right? Your brain is not supposed to run you. Logic is not supposed to run you. You know what I'm saying? So, ego, right? And this is the shadow work, the persona. Persona, ego, self, right, and the shadow. Anima is the feminine energy. Animus is the masculine energy within you, right? That's the shadow. So the more you tap into self, as it says, increasingly conscious, increasingly unconscious, right? You tap into the day and night, so to speak, the conscious and the unconscious when you are in the middle. The ego is basically your conscious self, or your self identity, is who you perceive yourselves to be. And the persona, right? Your persona, that's the mask that you wear out in the world. That's what everybody thinks you are. That's your social media post, you know what I'm saying? The pictures that are edited and shit, right? That's who your persona, that's the role that you play. You know what I'm saying? And uh that's your ego, you know what I'm saying? And then you have the self, that's the divine, that's that organizing, that's the God principle, that's the yin and yang within you, right? And then you have the anima and animus, and that's again the feminine and the masculine aspect of the psyche. So shadow work is really important to align all three, but it's run by the heart, as you can see. It's run by the center self. That's your true self you know People talk about self-awareness, and then they talk about the external self, their bodies and their looks and all those things. That's not self-awareness. Self-awareness is you being aware of you being aware of yourself, knowing yourself, and knowing that you are not this body, and know that you are one with the energy that makes it rain on the righteous and the unrighteous, right? On the wicked, on the wicked and or the just, right? The one who plants, or the energy that plants seeds and foods and cows, and the energy that allows Bill Gates to buy up all the farmland, and allows the Pope, to run the world, the spiritual world, so to speak, on the dark side. That energy, right? That still allows people to love each other, even amongst all the chaos that happens in the world. That energy, right? The energy that allows two crackheads to be aligned on their journey for smoking crack for years and be in love with each other, even though they argue every day. That type of energy, right? That type of energy is the energy that you want to tap into. It's the most powerful energy in the world. And shadow work will allow you to lighten up the energy around those traumas by giving them new ideas, new definitions, right? And look at yourself as a conqueror, and taking the lessons that you learned in them and spreading them to others that need the help, or is going through that situation, and can use your wisdom based on your experience. So these are some prompts for shadow work, right? You might want to screenshot this or write them down, right? I'm not going to read all of them, but you could again look at these, and you could just pull up shadow work prompts on the internet, which is what I did, and you'll be able to, knock these things out. And these are the things that you want to look at during this season, up until the new moon in Scorpio, and during that time, and look at it over and over and over again. Because again, I said in the other video, the hippocampus is the horns, and right now the moon is in Taurus. So Taurus is even another horned, uh, zodiac, right? So you have In the beginning of the zodiac, you have Aries, and then the next sign in the zodiac is Taurus. Both of them have two horns, right? Very interesting. But again, the hippocampus deals with memories, the emotions and the emotions behind those memories and the storage of memories. As you see, they're both on the right and left hemisphere of the brain, which again goes to balance and equality, which is what I've been talking about for the last 10 or 20 minutes, right? And I talked about this in other videos, so we won't go deep into that. Um, and uh, also, we talk about the zodiac, but the original uh, symbol of the zodiac is this Adinkra, because Aries is a ram and the full moon started in Aries and we're still under that energy. So it's the Dwenemen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Dwenemen, also spelled Dwanimen, translates to ram's horns, and the symbol is said to be a bird's eye view of two rams butting heads. It represents being humble yet strong. A ram is strong enough to fight against foes, but humble enough to submit for slaughter when necessary. So this is the key. A ram is strong enough to fight against foes, but humble enough to submit to slaughter when necessary. So this is the original sign of Aries, and this is what the symbol looks like. So you can see the two ram horns on the side that look just like, where is that? It looks just like, oh shit, it's going. Maybe I'm bugging. All right. What? Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't even share this tab. My bad. So this is the Dwenemen, the ram's horn. So it looks like two rams butting their heads. So this is a Dinkra symbol, right? This is the Dinkra symbol called the Dwenemen, and it's a ram symbol. So this is, you could say this is the original Aries, right? Aries is a ram as well. But it's a balance between, like it says, the lamb being laid to slaughter or the ram being laid to slaughter, and the ram, being strong enough to fight against foes. So again, it's that battle or that unification of masculine and feminine energy. You see the same themes, Jekyll and Hyde, right? These same themes keep coming up, the two hippocampus, right? These same themes, you know, of balance, Ma'at being Virgo and Libra, right? Same themes of balance, the Anubis scale, the dog being on top of the pyramid, right? These same themes of balance. And if you look at, this particular symbol, right? This particular Adinkra symbol, you you could also so a good way, right? This came to me when I was looking at this, that a good person, a good example of someone who is acting like this particular ram symbol is Michael Jordan, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Now if you watch The Last Dance, on The Last Dance, Michael Jordan, you see that he was tough, right? Like he was an asshole, you could say, to his teammates, right? You could say that, right? That's the word out in the street, that he was an asshole, but he was a winner, right? He pushed people to win. So he was a ram in that aspect. You know what I'm saying? He pushed people to win. I don't know. I didn't look up his zodiac. It'd be interesting if he was an Aries, but he pushed people to win. But also, when you see Michael Jordan in interviews, when you see Michael Jordan talking to people, when you see Michael Jordan out and about, right? He looked cool as hell, right? He looked like he wasn't, a problem. He was articulate. Um, it looked like, if you look at him in the All-Star games, and even though he was better than everybody, in a lot of these things, he was having fun. He was trying to joke with people. He would tap them on their back. He would try to be funny. He was gregarious. So Jordan, yes, he has one side where it could be, dog. Because Kobe wasn't personable. Jordan was personable. See, Jordan was strong but humble. Jordan was strong but humble, right? Jordan was personable. Kobe wasn't personable. So people didn't like Kobe when he was alive. A lot of people, and I'm gonna say it too. Me myself was. I wasn't a big Kobe fan. I respected Kobe, but I thought Kobe was an asshole. You know what I'm saying? And Jordan just seemed cool as shit. Now, of course, we learned a lot about, Jordan's style in real life, his shadow, right? But by all accounts, you know what I'm saying? Jordan stills look like, for in my opinion, someone that is better than Google says Ultra Instinct said Jordan's an Aquarius. Okay. So yeah, that also makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Water bearer, right? Water balance, So yeah, it also makes sense. Um Appreciate that. So let's do so where we at? All right. So yeah, we're almost done. So I want to read this real quick. I think this is very profound as a statement, right? And this is talking about doctors, right? This is by Carl Jung, right? Or Alan Watts, I would say, actually. But this is about something that he was saying basically about, well, let's just read it. So it says, people forget that even doctors have moral scruples and that certain patients' confessions are hard even for a doctor to swallow. Yet the patient himself does not feel himself accepted unless the very worst of him is accepted too. So it says, the very worst of accepted too. So the patient does not feel accepted until the very worst of him is accepted too, right? No one could bring this about by mere words. It comes only through reflection and through the doctor's attitude toward himself and his own dark side. If the doctor wants to guide another or even accompany him a step of the way, he must feel with that person's psyche. So this is empathy. This is being an empath, right? This is putting yourself in someone else's shoes, right? This is spirituality. He never feels it when he passes judgment. When he puts his judgments into words or keeps them to himself, makes not the slightest difference. To take the opposite position and to agree with the patient offhand is also of no use, but estranges him as much as condemnation. Feeling only comes through unprejudiced objectivity. All right. So this is looking at people with compassion, right? Again, this is what attracted people to spirituality, the story of Jesus, right? Even though they left out most of Jesus' life, where he was going through his ups and downs, they did that for a reason, right? To make him seem perfect and make him seem flawless is to make you constantly strive for perfection and flawlessness, right? So you never engage your Mr. Hyde and you keep him suppressed. You never engage your dark side, and therefore you never tap into your true subconscious power and your supernatural abilities, right? Because you're not light enough as a feather for your kundalini to rise up into the crown chakra on a consistent basis. So it says this sounds like almost like a scientific precept, and it could be confused with a purely intellectual, abstract attitude of mind. But what I mean is something quite different. It's a human quality, a kind of deep respect for the facts, for the man who suffers from them, and for the riddle of such a man's life. The truly religious person has this attitude. So he's talking about Christianity, but you don't have to be religious to do this, right? This is just you having a way of life that's in tune with your higher self. He knows that God has brought all sorts of strange and unconceivable things to pass and seeks in the most curious way to enter a man's heart. He therefore senses in everything the unseen presence of the divine will. So you have to ask yourself, how much are you triggered by? And the things are you triggered by? Do you see that it is also part of the will of God, the creator, source, the universe? Everything. Everything is everything. And you are everything everywhere all at once because you are not this physical body. So therefore, everyone you interact with is you. Everyone you interact with is you. Everyone is a reflection of you. So yeah, you gotta embrace your demons. You gotta get to know them. You gotta talk to them. You gotta make peace to them. Or you gotta put a sword to them. You gotta get Ogun with it and chop their head off so they no longer have control. Me, I'm out battling with my shadow. You know what I'm saying? There's times I'll be battling with that nigga. And there's times where I gotta go in meditation, I gotta chop some heads. And a lot of times those heads are not other people. The heads that I'm chopping is my own. And it's the old heads. It's the head that I had when I was 16. It's the Ori and the mind that I had when I was in my early 20s. It's the mind that I had and that was in my 30s. It's the trauma from my 30s. It's the trauma in my 20s. It's the trauma in my teens. It's the trauma before preteen, right? It's the relationship trauma, right? All these things. And on top of that, some people have been abused in other ways, right? So all these things weigh you down because they keep you in fight or flight. And the conspiracies do the same thing. They keep you in fight or flight all day. You think they don't because they're informing you about some current event and what the government is doing and what they're going to do to you next and how you have to be prepared and keep your head on a swivel and keep your eyes open and walk 3 steps backwards, 2 steps forward, do a hop, skip, and a back step and sprint all around in order to avoid it and come join my class or my course and buy my snake oil to avoid it. Join my course, join my join my membership so you could avoid it, right? Spreading fear, spreading fight or flight in a form of spirituality. Ain't that a bitch? Now, it's not to say that I won't ever tell you to prepare for something or I won't ever tell you to look out for something, but they should be giving you working modules on how to look at it, your perspective on it, right? What your perspective should be and how to problem solve, right? Without joining their class, without joining their course. Not to say you don't keep some things in the back for you to yourself, but they should still be offering you some value as far as solutions. Like there's niggas decoding everything in the universe, and then they're decoding it and tell you, oh, yep, so they ending the live with, oh, well, keep your eyes out, keep your eyes out, keep your ears open, because this is what's gonna happen, and this is what the priests are gonna do, and this is what the Anunnaki, this is what the Illuminati. Self and letting some of this old shit go that needs to expire and using this energy of the universe that's out here right now that I've been talking over damn near 2 hours about. I'm not wasting my time. Trust me, I could be doing other things. I'm doing this because this is the time and spirit told me to do it. And I'm like, because I was gonna skip this. I ain't gonna lie to you. Spirit's like, nah, you gotta talk to him. I was gonna ban this out of this, but I said this anyway. I said it earlier. But so we need things like this. We need things like this. This is shit that needs to be championed. These are things that need to be championed, right? 14-year-old, right? Invented soap to treat people who know Herman Blackie, Herman Kelly, right? But everybody knows that Big Meech is home. You know, this is the things that this culture celebrates, and that's why we're on Front Street. It's not, yeah, racism plays a part in it, but everything has its time. And obviously, if all these men are coming out and being accused of certain things, then that means black men, so-called black men, have to look at themselves. That's just a fact, right? And they have to look at their behavior, in particular their sexual behavior. But this kid, melanated kid, boy, what is going on? They're trying to play me. Let's see what they're doing. I don't know what's going on, but that's crazy. I didn't even do anything. Like, how did this just change without me? But anyway, I think I think it pulled up the ads, but I don't even know how to get back. Hold on. Let me try this. Okay. But this kid, he is the nation's top scientist. He invented a soap to treat skin cancer, melanoma. 14-year-old student from Virginia, right? Invented an affordable and safe soap to use to stop to a safe blah, 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 affordable and safe to use soap using cancer fighting chemicals to treat melanoma. All right. This is that late night kicking in. So, this kid, 14 years old, you know, is treating melanoma. He's a melanated kid and nobody knows who he is because we don't celebrate genius. But I guarantee you, if he was a Caucasian kid doing this, he would be celebrated on the news everywhere. People would know about him. He would know his name, right? And it's come to the point where melanated people don't respect genius anymore. They respect ratchetry more than this. But this is what we do. We built pyramids. We built society. We built civilization. Like, I was just watching something about the Maasai tribe and their jumping ability and how they have a certain gut microbe to where they could go to like a beehive and pull raw honey. Like, it's crazy. They could pull raw honey from the tree, and they could pull that raw honey from the tree with the bees, all them going around them, and not get stung. And if they do get stung, not affect them. You know what I'm saying? And they could eat raw food. Like, they'll grab a snake, snap his head, and eat it, cut his head off with a knife and eat it raw. Like, and don't have any problems and not having any diseases and dying off and quick and shit like that, right? So scientists are trying to figure out what's in their gut. You know what I'm saying? How are they able to do this, right? This is like, how are they able to jump so high? But the Maasai are connected to the Dogon. So they have spiritual practices that are as ancient as time and secret practices that they don't share with everybody as well, right? So we have to get back to understanding who we truly are and understanding that, becoming magical beings and utilizing magic is not a irresponsible do what thou wilt quest. That was something that was taught by Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley died poor in rooming house. Also, Aleister Crowley is a certified pee toucher, right? Certified pee toucher. If you look, I don't know if they still have it, but the early days of 2010, South Park had an episode about NAMBLA, National Association of Man Boy Love, right? There's a real association called the National Association, NAMBLA, National Association of Man Boy Love. And in that, in that, they say football's the greatest. Shout out to Ultra Instinct. I just saw that. So in that, there is damn, I lost my train of thought. That shit fucked me up, Ultra. But damn, hopefully it'll come back to me because I was about to rock. But yeah, I lost my thought. So anyway, let me just get into this. So the fall herbs, right? There's fall herbs that are grown for their special flavors and aroma, right? So these are the herbs you want to take, right, during this time. You want to start steeping teas, and this is going to keep your kundalini up. This is going to keep your vibration high, all the way through, until we get into Sagittarius season, because Scorpio season is gonna this Scorpio season is gonna be intense. Not only is this all this energy out here, but that people don't know how to use, so they're bugging out, right? I don't know if y'all seen this, but in New York City, people are bugging out. People are crashing out. Oh, that's what I was talking about. NAMBLA. Thank you, Ultra Instinct. NAMBLA. So NAMBLA, right? So Aleister Crowley, right? That's what I was talking about. Aleister Crowley, the OVO, right? they participate in these weird sex rituals, right, with little boys. And when I was looking on that Nambla website back in before 2010, they had Aleister Crowley all up in that website, all his philosophies. And his philosophy was that if you sleep with boys, you'll gain energy, right, from the sexual act, that it'll rejuvenate you, that it'll raise your chi, that it'll raise your vibration, that it'll stir your kundalini. So it's an energy grab, even in their sexual impulse. It's energy vampirism at its finest, right? Because sleeping with somebody, putting in their culo, boy to boy, right? You're tapping into their sacral chakra as well. So you're taking something from them. Black Dot was like, you're leaving, shout out to the Black Dot. He was talking about this. He was like, you're basically kind of putting them under a curse or a hex forever by doing that, right? Because you're leaving that stain on them. So it's an energy grab. So these are the things that Aleister Crowley, the person that told you do what thou wilt, did what thou wilt with little boys, right? So if that's the science that occultism or chaos magic is teaching you, or your teachers are teaching you, then you want to really check their character and do a character check, because they will fuck you over. You know what I'm saying? And they'll fuck your man, and they'll fuck your girl, and they'll steal from you, and they'll scam you, because they're going to do what thou wilt. Right. So this is what the shadow work is for. So you could truly be a god, not a god in name, not just a God in name, but a God in action, a being of light, a real walking quantum universe. And so these herbs, right? These particular herbs, these four herbs, anise, basil, dill, fennel, garlic. And the easiest tool I think to get is ginger. You can make ginger tea every morning and the night. If you're a guy and you have problems with erections, right? You even at, I'm a man of a certain age and I still get random erections during the day, right? There's no reason you should become a certain age and not still have that happen to you, in the morning and different times like that, right? You're either not working out and you're not eating the right foods, right? And this is not to say that, well, it's not to say that, yeah, there's really nothing else to say about that. You're not eating the right foods and you're not being active. So one of the things and that's also hard, it's difficult. That's why I'll see certain people and they're talking about spirituality and I'll look at them and I'm like, bro, sis, you can't even control like your weight. Like, no wonder you say the shit you do, right? You not even taking care of your health in order to generate enough chi. So no wonder you're telling these people these bullshit stories, right? But and a lot of them are popular, but people want to hear what they want to hear as long as it tickles their ear. But these particular herbs, garlic and ginger, go out and get them. Look up Google like I did, pungent herbs. That's all you got to do. Pungent for herbs. Start adding these things to your diet to keep these chi up. Again, this will help you communicate with your ancestors. This will also help you tap into the subconscious, which is the home of the supernatural, which is the home of your spiritual powers and abilities, which are unique to you. Right? We all have certain spiritual powers and abilities, and we all could tap into all of them as well. But we first start with one and two and work our way up, right? That's the way it works. You know, like I'm just stepping into some new shit myself right now, which I won't divulge, but like literally this month I stepped into new shit. Like, oh, I could do that. Like, yeah, you can, you know? So things develop over time, and with the work that you're actually doing. So yeah, be obedient to the spirit world and follow the prompts. But those two drinks things will help you. And last but not least, and I want to share this particular video by Bobby because he talks about this expertly. Let's play it. He's talking about Kundalini. Hold up, why is it not playing? Oh, is that because I left? Hold on, I'm gonna take myself off the screen for a minute. I don't know what happened, but you can catch that video actually. Hold up. Let me take myself off camera because I see it's acting up. Hold on, y'all. All right, so you can actually check out my page, Rod underscore Black Storm, and you can watch that video for yourself. I don't know why y'all can't hear it now, but I can hear it. I don't know why y'all can't hear it. But what I like to say is definitely I told you guys what to do. Get these particular herbs, pungent herbs. Google it, pungent herbs for the fall. Again, I recommend the ginger. I recommend the garlic. And I know guys probably are thinking I'm gonna give you like some super. I mean, if you want, you could get some bladderwrack as well, right? Um, Definitely do some meditation. Definitely do some movement, dance, sex, working out this weekend. Definitely get that chi flowing. You know, told you guys music with no sound, no words, jazz, isochronic tones, binaural beats, instrumentals, things like that, even mantras, right? That are good to hear during this time. Not affirmations, because again, you want to have, I mean, affirm yourself, obviously, but again, the main thing is you want to have space for your own thoughts, your own ideas, and your own vision, so you can get the downloads. And uh, yeah, last but not least, like I always tell you guys, do meditation, right? You know, tap into that inner aspect of yourself, tap into your dark subconscious, tap into your dark matter, tap into your quantum universe through breath work, because spirit means breath. And then the spirit will unlock different aspects of your DNA. One thing for sure, two things for certain, I'm going to say this in closing, is that you have ancestors that go back to the first man and to the first woman. And through your individual bloodline, you have people that were everything: scientists, mystics, magicians, carpenters, bricklayers, masons, scientists, um, astrophysicists, chemists, right? Authors, or creatives. You have all these people and all these energies that are within you. So what it really is up to is up to you to honor it, and honoring it is tapping into connecting with the ancestors first and foremost. This is the time to connect with the ancestors. You could work with deities as well, but again, Halloween and all that is about ancestors. This is about being recreated. This is about being renewed and preparing yourself for the winter solstice and 2025 ahead. But in this particular season, this particular weekend is very, 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 very important. Hopefully, all the signs and shingles, all the signs and symbols that I've showed you, right, will point to what you need to do in a serious business. Because again, we got the selection coming up. Whoever comes in, we know it's going to be a whole new world, right? Whoever comes in, it's going to be a whole new world as president, right? And none of them are fit to lead. Neither one of them are fit to lead, right? But we'll have to deal with what that is, and we need to have energy and connection to spirit to do so. And spirit will fuck with you if you fuck with the spirit, sincerely. And again, that doesn't mean being a goody goody. That means being fair and just, and also studious, and uh, putting the work in. Right? It's not just going to come to you just because you're chosen or you're blessed. It doesn't just come like that. You got to work on it, and you can't rest on your laurels because you'll never know it all. It's a daily operation. All right, y'all. Have a great morning, afternoon, or evening. I wish you the best. Like, share, subscribe if you like the content, and I will talk to you the next time Spirit moves me. Oh, yeah, my birthday is coming up. So if you want to send a donation, that would be awesome. My birthday will be this Wednesday. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to live stream about the new moon are about Scorpio season, because that's my season. So yeah, most likely on Wednesday, that's the start of Scorpio season, the cusp day. So I was born on the cusp, so I will be, yeah. I wouldn't say because I'm off, so I will be live streaming most likely during the day. But I'll let y'all know ahead of time. And again, peace, power, and prosperity to you and yours. Let me know what you think in the comments, right? Comments are great because it hits the algorithm and it keeps the video going. So if you think people need to hear this message in occultism, in mysticism, in metaphysics, and need to tap into some of these things during this time period, right? Holla. Yeah, it's murder season again. Bow, 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 bow. And with that, I'm out, y'all. It's murder season. It's murder season. It's murder season. Yeah, it's murder season again. We killing off all negativity. We killing off all negative shadows. We killing off all trauma. We killing off all limitations. And we killing off all fears, and we stepping into our purpose. All right, word, Dre, a lot. The Jason months, yeah, we in that Jason month. So Jason had childhood trauma. You know what I'm saying? With his mama. His mama was a influence on him, right? And you'll see that a lot in movie characters, right? Where you see they've been nurtured wrong and they got to reprogram, become born again to change themselves. And one of the greatest acts, and I'll close with this, or one of the greatest versions or the greatest examples of this is Detroit Red turning into Malcolm X. Like imagine if how many people wrote Detroit Red off. How many people thought he was just going to be a jailbird for the rest of his life? How many people thought Detroit Red was going to die early? You know, and who would think Detroit Red would turn into Malcolm X? But in order for Malcolm X to be Malcolm X, Detroit Red had to come first because part of Malcolm X was Detroit Red, right? Yo, butterfly effect is fire. Yeah, butterfly effect. I haven't seen that in a long time. Woo. Yeah, butterfly effect was a good movie. Yeah, they said when I forgot. I can't say I remember the movie. I probably haven't seen that movie in over 10 years, but it is a good movie. You know what's another good movie to watch? Um, what's the name of this shit? Um, it's kind of bugged out, but it basically talks about the nature of reality. It's a movie called The 13th Floor. It's called The 13th Floor, and I don't even want to spoil it. It's an older movie. Yeah, it's an older movie by Let me share this. Good movies on the shadow. That's a good question. Yeah, make sure it's this version, the 1999 version, Ultra Instinct. This is the version, the 13th floor. Hold on. Yeah, it's an L movie. It's an L movie. It's kind of about everything, to be honest. It involved the shadow. What's a good movie on a shadow? Shit. Um, Honestly, Joker. Joker. Joker was all about his shadow self not being satisfied and him putting on a mask, which is what most people do when they're not doing shadow work and they're not facing themselves. they do put on accoutrements and clothing and dress and materialism to mask who they really are. So Joker was masking who he really was, and he never was really the Joker. But I mean, well, let me say this: he wasn't a murderer until he was pushed to become a murderer, and then he enjoyed becoming a murderer because that urge in him not to kill necessarily, but the urge in him to stand up for himself. Right? He wasn't standing up for himself. He was letting people run over him. And when he finally stood up for himself, unfortunately, it resulted in a murder. But definitely a shadow work story. Definitely a shadow work story. So yeah, the Joker was dealing with his shadow for sure, for sure. And that's why the second movie dealt with the shadow as well. I'm trying to think of something else. Shit. What's another good movie on the shadow? Um, I don't know. It's not coming to me right now. Maybe it's because it's 5 a.m. here in New York. but um, but put in the comments if you do. If I think of some in the morning, I'll drop some in the comments for you. Some good movies on the shadow. All right, y'all. It's over 2.5 hours. I'm gonna stop this here. I appreciate the comments. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your time and enjoy your weekend and do work. You know what I'm saying? How Dream I say it, do work, not woke. You know what I'm saying? Do work. Don't be woke. Woke woke ain't gonna get you nowhere, but more and more stress. Peace. And stress kills. One love.